Welcome back. Republicans and Democrats don't often see eye to eye, but when it comes to protecting our schools, all agree a compromise must be reached. Spurred on by the shooting at STEM school Highlands Ranch, state lawmakers have been working to create bills on mental health services, training, and keeping track of troubled students, just to name a few. They're also focusing on, or less, I should say, on controversial issues like gun control, instead concentrating on what they believe can actually get passed in the coming year.
I believe that politics is the art of the possible. I would look for the things we can do. So I don't even want to talk about non-starters.
How do we not make something political? We have ongoing conversations. We understand where are the areas that we can come together. We know that there are certain things that we value, and we value those things together. I call those our Colorado values. You're going to see that come out of the legislation of this committee, because this committee exists on the understanding that we are fighting for the lives of our children.
And John Castillo has been sitting in on these hearings, and you might recognize his name. His son, Kendrick, was murdered at STEM school, Highlands Ranch. It was his son who tackled one of the gunmen. And Castillo said he appreciates knowing there are people working on school safety, but he wants people to stop thinking of school shooters as killers, rather domestic terrorists.
As a society, we tend to like to soften things. When there's tragedy, it's easier if we isolate it to a church, to a school shooting, to the local, big box store, because then it just indicates that it happened in that place. When the fact of the matter is, how terrorism works is it spreads terror through everyone.
And Castillo says that during the hearings, he has felt an extremely strong connection to the parents of other students who have lost their lives in school shootings, such as John Michael Keyes, whose daughter Emily was killed at Platte Canyon High School. Well, State Senator Rhonda Fields is part of that group of lawmakers trying to come up with legislation for the upcoming session. And you yourself, your son, Javad, was a victim of gun violence. So this is all very personal to you as well.
Absolutely. I believe that every child should have a safe and healthy start and shouldn't be confronted with gun violence at all.
I think that's a great attitude. I think you're absolutely right. So this safety committee, you're trying to come up with some reasonable legislation,
yes,
nonpartisan, right?
That's right. In fact, our committee is set up with 5 Democrats and then 5 Republicans from both chambers. So it means that we have to come up with consensus in reference to how to move forward on any kind of legislation.
Do you feel like you're getting there?
Yes, our last meeting we were able to propose, I think it was maybe 6 or 7 bills. And so the next time we meet, which is going to be on October the 31st, we'll get an opportunity to vote on those measures. But so far, there's just been a lot of rich discussion on what we need to do to keep kids safe.
So give us some ideas to what those laws might be, or proposed laws.
What we're looking at is having a comprehensive oversight as it relates to school safety. Right now, it's really a patchwork approach.
So every school or every district does their own thing?
Everyone's doing something a little different. And I think that we should have a standard and a protocol. For example, we have these active shooter or lockdown drills.
Right.
There's not a common approach. Some districts are teaching kids to run, hide, and fight. Others are teaching them to hide in the corner. And I think we need to really have some evidence-based data in reference to what's the best approach for doing these drills.
And I know mental health is a component.
Yes.
What are you looking at?
We're looking at making sure that our teachers, we see teachers as being first responders. They know when a kid is sad too often or there's something wrong. But this first aid training for teachers will allow teachers to refer and direct so they can identify red flags. Many teachers already do this. Some school districts are already providing this kind of training. But once again, it's not a statewide approach. So what can we do to scale up to make sure that every school has someone that can identify a child that is having some behavior issues or something that needs to be addressed?
Is that putting too much on our teachers? I mean, are we putting too many expectations on them?
Yeah.
What about mental health professionals in schools? What about senior resource officers?
I think we need all of those things. I think we definitely need to have more social workers in our schools, more psychologists in our schools, but teachers are there. And they're on the front lines. And so they have indicated that they would like to know what they can do when they see a child that's struggling with, let's say, some trauma from home or whatever. And they would refer and direct, so they're not going to be doing any counseling or anything like that.
So, and gun control measures, these are not part of your conversations, correct?
They have been part of the conversation. We had a presentation from Everytown USA, and they proposed that the best way to avoid school shooting is not to allow guns in a school at all. And so they said that most shootings happen from kids having access to their parents' guns, which means a lot of times those guns are not secured. A lot of times they're loaded. And so they were proposing that we should have safe storage for guns as a recommendation.
Safe storage in schools?
In your home.
In the home, okay.
To keep kids from having access to guns and bringing them to school.
Some schools, though, in Colorado do allow administrators to carry.
That's right.
Is that being addressed?
We did not recommend any of that proposal as a part of our 6 or 7 bills. So that did not come up. We'll just have to see where it takes us. But resource officers are armed in our schools. So most of them are carrying weapons already.
And so realistically, what do you think will come of this committee?
I think realistically, I think you're going to see us pass some legislation that provides a very comprehensive review on how we should be keeping our kids safe and what kind of standards we could have in place to making sure that we have a common approach to dealing with school safety.
Do you think other states are doing this as well? Have you seen any other states taking
I haven't done any
approaches?
research along those lines. I think we'll see something to address behavioral health as a way to address school safety. I think we might be looking at some ways to identify those who are bullied. Online safety to keep people safe, our kids safe when they're online. So I think there's going to be a variety of different bill ideas that we might consider moving forward.
Well, as we said, we know this is personal for you, having lost your son Javad, and really personal for Colorado. We've had too many school shootings
Far too
here
many,
that it's
for sure.
Thank you for addressing this, and glad that,
Thank you.
that your group is moving forward. Rhonda Fields, thank you so much. Back in a moment.